Hi students, I just wanted to record a quick video going over the rhetorical analysis assignment. I'm fully aware that you could all just read the assignment description yourself, but I thought that maybe this would help some of you if you have questions. And I know that sometimes we don't always have as much time to read every little piece of the assignment sheet, so I figured I would kind of walk through it with you quickly. To help you just understand what the expectations are. So you can see that I'm in the Blackboard shell right now, and I've put everything for the rhetorical analysis paper in its own folder in Documents. So you can just click on that. And you'll see there's a bunch of stuff here. So there is a document that goes through what a rhetorical analysis is. This is the About Rhetorical Analyses paper. If you've never written one, that can help you understand what an RA is, how to write one, how to organize it, what goes in each section. It goes through it pretty extensively and even tells you, how to write the title, what goes in the title for a rhetorical analysis and things like that. There's also a sample outline, which will be very helpful to you when you're drafting. You don't have to follow the outline, but I find that most students really enjoy following the outline because it kind of takes out the guesswork. And if you've never written a rhetorical analysis before, it's a good way to practice writing one so you don't feel like you're totally on your own. So if you need to download that and file it away for later, don't forget where it is. So when you're drafting, you might want to come back to this. So make sure you remember where it is. Then you've got a couple sample rhetorical analyses. These were written by students. There's one that is based on a satire. There's one that has a really good intro body paragraphs, but the conclusion falls a little flat, so there's a little room for improvement here. And then here's the last one is an article that is ineffective in convincing its audience. You can absolutely write the paper for this class talking about how the article that you've chosen to analyze fails. It's a little bit more difficult for students, I think, but you can definitely go that way and you can be successful in writing that. But just heads up, it is a little bit harder. I don't know why, it just kind of seems that I think you have to support your reasoning a little bit more strongly. So here is the assignment sheet, and what you want to understand is what we're doing. So you're writing a 3 to 5 double-spaced page paper. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. And what you're going to do is pick a fake news article and determine whether or not the author is successful in persuading his or her target audience. Okay, so what's great about this paper is it asks you to do a lot of different things. You're going to have to show that you understand the concepts of the rhetorical situation, and then you're also going to have to identify, parts of what makes fake news fake. And that's actually really going to help you because it's going to prepare you for the next assignment where you're going to write your own fake news article. So you're going to want to see what the moves and strategies that the authors are making in a fake news article so that you can kind of, model that for your next paper. So what you want to do first is choose a fake news article. You need to pick one that's meaty enough to give you 3 to 5 double-spaced pages of stuff to write about. So a listicle probably isn't going to be long enough, so you're going to want to find something pretty hefty, and then you're going to start analyzing what rhetorical tools and strategies the author uses. If you don't know what a rhetorical tool or strategy is, don't worry, we're going to go over that before the paper's due, so you'll understand what it is by the time you need to demonstrate your knowledge of that. So in order to find an article, what I would do is pick a topic that you're interested in and then find a fake news article about that topic. So I probably wouldn't just go to Google and type in fake news article because you're not going to be really interested in what you're writing about. What I would do is type in an issue or, a event or something that you're already curious about, and then find something that's a fake news article about that. So if you're, into immigration issues, or if you're into the Red for Ed movement, you can type that into Google and then find a fake news article about that topic. And I think that way you'll find something that's a little bit more interesting to you and something that will give you enough to write about. Something that is really important is you don't have to agree with your article. You are not the target audience. Even if you are, like even if they're targeting college students, I want you to think about yourself as being not the target audience, okay? The point of this paper is whether or not the article is effective in persuading the intended audience, okay? So it doesn't matter, if you agree with it or not, and I'm not judging you if you come up with this like terrible article, and it's like super racist or something. I know that that's not you and that you don't necessarily agree with it. You are analyzing it to see if it is effective for the target audience. So to help you understand that concept, I've got a little picture. Here it is. So here is the rhetorical situation of your article. Okay, you pick your article. The article is going to have a specific purpose. The article is going to have a specific target audience that they're trying to convince. And then you've got, the article's author. There we go. Now it's right. Okay, so you don't have to agree with the author. You are not the target audience. You are over here. You are completely outside the situation. So what we're practicing here is objective analysis. You are not involved in the rhetorical situation. You are outside of it, looking in, so that you can be objective and see whether or not the author is effective in achieving his or her purpose for that specific audience. Are they persuasive? Do they get the audience to think the same way or do something that they want them to do? And you are outside deciding whether or not the author has achieved that. So I hope that kind of helps. The last thing I want to do is go over what an A analysis has. So hopefully you'll be able to all get A's, and do everything that the A analysis has. If you want to know what makes a B, a C, a D, or an E analysis, you can read about it. I'm just going to go over the criteria to get an A. Okay, so an A rhetorical analysis is going to have an insightful claim. You're going to identify and evaluate the various appeals, tools, and strategies. Okay, so you're looking at what tools or strategies the author uses to create specific appeals in their audience. You're going to try to avoid summary. Some summary is important to set up your argument, but it should be mostly analysis. Okay, you're going to write about how the author creates a particular effect on the audience. And you're going to give textual evidence for the tools and strategies that the author uses. Okay, then instead of just summing everything up and repeating yourself, you're going to want to suggest further implications in your conclusion. That's the so what. So really think about how you can do more in your conclusion other than just sum up everything you've already said. Because obviously the reader is going to read your paper and they'll remember what you just said. It's not that long of a paper. So you really want to suggest further implications. That's what's going to take you from a B to an A, or from a low A to a high A. You should make sure that it's well written, that it's thorough in its analysis, that the title talks about the focus of the analysis, and the introduction is interesting and gives some context and tells the reader what the rest of the paper is going to be about. Everything should be supportive of this thesis. You shouldn't have a bunch of tangents or things that go off topic. You should have transitions from sentence to sentence and from paragraph to paragraph to make sure everything builds to a point and is nice and smooth and unified. You should have topic sentences, examples from the text, so that each paragraph is cohesive. You should have good writing, so there should be a clear style. You should have sentence variety, concise sentences, and you should project an appropriate persona or ethos through your writing. And you should try to avoid any wordiness or grammar errors as well. So when you're writing, I want you to keep this in mind. That's what I'm looking for. I try to tell you up front exactly what I want in your paper and give you some samples of what I think is good work. So take a look at the student samples. Use the sample outline. Use this grading criteria to help you craft a strong and interesting rhetorical analysis.